Welcome back to the Nuckhead podcast. First of all, my apologies for this episode coming out a bit later than normal. For those of you who like to listen to this while you drive to work or go to school, sorry that you weren't able to this week. My planned guest had to reschedule, so this episode's going to be a bit janky. I'm just going to make it up as I go, which I understand is the point of a podcast, but I usually have some notes. This time, not really. I asked you guys what you think of the Canucks through the first 4 games of the season, and I'll respond to that as well as talk about last night's game against the Stars, because there was a lot to like. So yeah, let's get into it. All right, so we're 4 games into the Canucks 2025-2026 season, and it's already been quite the emotional roller coaster. I don't know about you guys, but I've been up, I've been down, and really nothing in between so far. But it is what it is. Whatever. That's what I get for being a devoted fan who lets a group of random strangers dictate my mental health on a regular basis. So I'm not complaining. But yeah, I mean, let's talk about these games. If you've already watched the video I posted on the main channel on Wednesday, I'll try not to repeat myself too much because I already recapped the first 3 games of the season. But yeah, game 1 against the Flames, 5-1 win, nothing to complain about. I was happy with that. Besser scored, Petey got the assist on it, Lekramaki scored, Sherwood got 1, Chytil got 2, which was really nice to see because, I mean, all the talk about who is the second line center going to be, Chytil's not the guy, is Chytil the guy? Scoring 2 on opening night obviously doesn't answer that question. It's not like that makes him the guy all of a sudden, but it definitely shuts those people up for a second. Not that those people are wrong. Like, I'm asking that question too. Is Chytil a second line center? I would argue that game 1 he proved yes, but does that mean for a full 82 games? Does that mean for the duration of his contract with the Canucks? No, but it was a good start. In fact, I think Chytil's been one of the better Canucks through the first 4 games. He looks great out there. Last night against the Stars was a little bit of a different story. I know he scored a nice goal, but he made some weird defensive plays, some things that aren't really second-line center material. And I know some of you might say, oh, but that was against the Stars. The Stars are so good. They've been to the conference final in back-to-back years. Have they been has it been 3 years? I don't know. I'm not going to Google it, but they've been to the conference final back-to-back years. They're a great team that seemingly is just getting better, right? However, the Canucks are, or at least want to be, contenders. Maybe not Stanley Cup contenders, although I guess that is the ideal situation for the majority of NHL teams. But the Canucks need to be playoff contenders, and they can't be an easy out. They can't be a first-round sweep. They need to be at least Game 6, Game 7, first round. And by the way, I'm a fan. I want them to go all the way. But I'm just thinking, like, if you want Hughes to be excited about the future of this team, you can't squeak into the playoffs and lose in the first round. You need to be putting up a hell of a fight. You need to be a good team is my point. And if the Canucks want to be a contender, if they want to be up there with these other teams, Dallas is a fair opponent to compare yourself to. So Chytil, looking a little bit defensively challenged at times in last night's game, was a bit concerning. But again, game 4, new coach, the lines were put into a blender right before that game, so Chytil was playing with players he hadn't played with yet, at least this year, in DeBrusk and Besser. There's like a asterisk to everything I'm saying here, this whole entire podcast, because we're 4 games in. I'm not going to say anyone's great or anyone's bad or any changes need to be made. I'm just, I don't know why I need to pray. You guys know what I'm saying, all right? Okay? Don't quote me on any of this. But yeah, through 4 games, I'd say Chytil's been good, maybe even a soft great, okay? I'd give him like a 7.5 out of 10 so far. I think, is he a second-line center? You can make that argument. You can make that argument right now. If you only had these 4 games to judge him on, yeah, he might be a second-line center for the Canucks. So that's good. 3 goals in 4 games, that's good. He's so fun to watch. It's actually kind of crazy because when you're watching the game and he gets the puck in the neutral zone, I'm learning to just accept that he's going to get into the offensive zone. Now, whether or not he does something good in the offensive zone, sometimes he'll try a deke and it'll just be poked off his stick. Sometimes the pass will go awry. Sometimes he'll dump and chase and whatever, right? But he'll always get past that blue line. He needles his way through the defenders like it's easy. I don't know how he does it. It's really fun to watch, and I'm so excited and very hopeful that if he can just put some other elements of his game together, not a whole lot, just get stronger, get better with his decision making, ideally find some chemistry with one of the wingers on the team. Man, like he could be such a good player. I can see why he was drafted in the first round. Man, is that right? Hey Google, where was Filip Chytil drafted?
Sorry, I don't understand.
You're so stupid. Hey Google, what round was Filip Chytil drafted in?
On the website pna.gov.ph, they say, Dylan joins former National Basketball Training Center standout Jalen Green as the only two Filipino Americans to be drafted at number 2 in the NBA, the fourth to be taken in the first round, along with NBA legend Raymond Townsend and former Rookie of the Year contender Jared McCain, and 5th overall to be drafted.
Thanks. Chytil was drafted 21st overall in 2017 by the Rangers. So yeah, I get that. I mean, it makes sense. He's a super talented player. He's got to put it all together. I mean, stay healthy is a big thing. Knock on wood. But yeah. What am I saying? I kind of lost track. Google threw me for a loop. Anyway, Chytil's been good, is my point. 4 games in, Chytil's been good. 7.5 out of 10. Let's talk about Kane. Kane, oh wait, I was going game by game here. I forgot about, see, this is what I mean. Like, this is off the cuff, but usually I have notes or some sort of structured like segments for this podcast. And now that I just woke up and I was like, shoot, you know, the guest I had coming on wasn't able to come on. They had to cancel. So I was like, oh, I'll just cancel this week. But then I was like, no, I got to make an episode. So I just hit record. So if this sounds a little messed up, that's why. But what was I doing? I was going game by game. Okay, game 1, what did I say? Yeah, it was 5-1 win. How can you complain? Then they went to Edmonton. Okay, now the rivalry with the Oilers is very strange. The two teams in 23-24 were comparable. Very, very, very good teams. The Canucks won the division that year. They beat the Oilers for that number 1 spot. And obviously, as we all remember, unless you were born after, in which case, I don't know why you're listening to this. You probably don't understand anything. They played in the second round of the playoffs. And it was so close. So close. I saw an Oilers fan comment, I think it was on one of my videos. I can't remember, but they said Demko being injured is the only reason the Oilers beat the Canucks that series. And as good as Shilov's was, you could make that argument. I mean, if Demko had been in net, maybe that final game, there wasn't 3 goals scored on the Canucks. Instead, there was only 1 or 2. You know, I don't know. We're not going to do what ifs right now. I'm over it. The point is, that rivalry that had been brewing all season and really peaked in that second round playoff matchup is the reason why the Oilers feel like one of our main rivals. And they are. However, the Canucks, with everything that happened last year, the big question is, are they worse or are they better or are they the same? And that's kind of what we're trying to figure out right now with this new team, with Chytil as a second line center, with Kane as a top 6, top 9 player. Like, we don't really know what this team is right now. So going up against Edmonton, you know, I kind of was still locked in that mindset of like, oh, the Oilers are an equal team to the Canucks. Like, we are a really good matchup, a matchup that if we met in the playoffs would go 7 games and it could be anyone's win, right? That could still be true. However, the going into that game with that mindset and then watching what unfolded, it was like someone had splashed vinegar in my eyes, pointed at me and laughed, and then stole my girlfriend. If that's what it kind of felt like, because the Canucks were completely dominated, offensively speaking. Defensively, like I'm not going to repeat myself too much. If you want to hear more thoughts on these first 3 games, go watch the video I posted on Wednesday. But defensively speaking, the Canucks were elite. They kept Leon Draisaitl and Connor McDavid off the scoreboard until an empty net goal, but who cares? They kept them from scoring or getting any points. They shut out the power play, even though they gave them 5 opportunities to score. And yeah, a lot of that has to do with Demko. In fact, I would say probably upwards of 75 to 80, maybe 95, maybe 99.5% had to do with Demko. But still, Demko's a Canuck. You know, I saw people on Twitter being like, oh man, the Canucks got steamrolled. Demko's the only reason the score wasn't 10-0. Yeah, you're right. But Demko's a Canuck. So it's, how is that any different than saying The Canucks got steamrolled. The only reason they didn't lose is because of Elias Pettersson, Brock Besser, Connor Garland, Thatcher Demko, Evander Kane, Jake DeBrusk, Connor Garland, Jonathan Lekramaki, Atu Ratu. You know what I mean? Like, they're all Canucks. Demko's a Canuck. So what you're saying is true. It's just not a diss, I guess, is what I'm trying to say. Anyways, okay. Yeah, the Canucks got dominated offensively. Defensively, they really stood their ground and proved that they can go up like that. My whole point of the preface I gave about this game is that the Oilers are an elite team. They've been to the Cup final 2 years in a row. Yes, they lost, but that's hard to do. That's very, very hard to do. Yes, it's game 3 or game 2, but the Oilers manhandled the Canucks in that game, and they only won 2-1. I know it was 3-1, okay? But that was an empty netter. It was really 2-1, and that's incredible considering how badly the Canucks got outplayed. The positive, the Canucks were so good defensively. The penalty kill was perfect, and they kept Mick Draisaitl off the score sheet. And Demko looked like the Vezina Trophy should be named after him, so that's also a positive. I don't know, my point here is I left that game feeling good. I was frustrated because, it was a loss, but overall, I was like, man, there's so many positives here. Like that was great. But then the game against the Blues happened, and it made me want to put both my legs into a blender on pulse mode, which is cool. I was pretty frustrated with this game. Pettersson, I talked about this in the video. I'm not going to repeat myself too much. Pettersson didn't have a very good game. I'm pretty sure his underlying numbers, all those, what are they called again? Advanced stats. I'm pretty sure he actually had a good game when you look at the advanced stats, but the eye test, which is what I was going on while watching, I wasn't too pleased with it. And it was the first game, honestly, where I left frustrated with Pettersson more than anything, which some of you might find crazy. I know there's people listening right now that have been frustrated with him for over a year now, but honestly, I've been pretty, I see enough in his game, even on the nights where he doesn't score or get any points. I see enough in his game where like his value to this team is honestly irreplaceable. I don't know where you're going to find, like, because I'm just speaking to the crowd that wants him to be traded or even bought out, which is insane. I don't know where you're going to find a forward that defensively gifted, a center that defensively gifted in free agency or via trade. Like, no team is going to get rid of a forward that is that good, no matter what the cap hit is, truthfully. But his defensive game really wasn't that solid against the Blues. Now, I might be, maybe I don't know puck, okay? Because I looked at his advanced stats and they looked all right for that game, but there were just the bad penalty that led to a goal, the giveaway in the first that led to a goal, his body language after both those things kind of bothered me. It's tough because I know he's under so much pressure, even if he's off social media, even if he's doing his best to ignore it. The voice in his head that got him to where he is today, the one that told him, oh, I know you don't want to work out today and go to the rink, but you have to because you want to get drafted to the NHL. That voice, right, that's been there, that got him to where he is today, still exists, and it's probably so hard on him. So regardless of whatever he hears in the media, which I'm sure is very, very, very hard to ignore, regardless of all that, I'm sure he's under so much pressure, right? So like making a mistake that leads to a goal like he did in that first period, I get why he put his head down and it looked like he was pissed at himself, because I'm sure he was. But it's just, I get, that's where a lot of the frustration comes from, I imagine, from the people who have been mad at him for over a year now, because they don't want to see that. Now, I'm not going to say quit, but it kind of looks like that. And, they want somebody who's just, they'll sulk after the game, not in the middle of the play, not on the bench even. If they made a mistake or there's something about their game they didn't like, that they'll do it at home. Anyways, what am I talking about? Yeah, the game against the Blues had me pretty frustrated. Yeah. Sherwood has looked amazing, though. That dude is going to get a big contract, and if it's not with the Canucks, I am going to throw a fit. I'm pretty sure it will be with the Canucks. I haven't heard anything that says otherwise. I guess it depends on how much he's asking for. Because right now, like, if the Canucks go to him and say, hey, man, we definitely want you with the team. Here's a 4-year deal for $2 million per, all right? He'll go, haha, okay. Why don't we talk in 2 months when I'm at 20 goals already? And then it'll be like, I want $6 million. So, that's might sound crazy, but if he scores 20 or 30, he's on pace for 82 or 80, 70 something. I'm not going to do the math. But yeah, okay, let's talk about game 4 last night. All right. I haven't made a video on this game yet, so this is going to be brand new information. I was so happy with last night's game. I wasn't happy going into it though, okay? Lekramaki being taken out of the lineup wasn't really cool with me. Kind of pissed they didn't ask. I want him to play every game until he's a 35 goal scorer. But they took him out of the lineup, and instead they put Karlsson in. Oh, and they also, I didn't even mention this yet, they sent Coots back down to the WHL with Seattle. So Coots is gone. They put Sasson in that in Coots' spot, in the fourth line, and they reunite the Abbotsford line. I don't know if they have a name yet. I guess they're just going to be called the Abbey line now, of Baines, Sasson, and Karlsson. Real quick, Shorthouse is pronouncing Sasson like Sasson, and usually I go with whatever Shorthouse says because he's such a, he's a legend. He's so talented, very, very detail-oriented. I'm sure he did his research and found out it's Sasson, right? But I got a clip, okay? I need to find it again, of him introducing himself when he was playing, I think, college hockey somewhere. I can't remember where. And he's doing like a little player bio, and he's like, "Hi, I'm Max Sasson."
Hey, my name is Max Sasson. I'm from Birmingham, Michigan, and I play center.
Because I had to do my research too last year when I was talking about him, and I was like, okay, cool. So he says it's pronounced Max Sasson. I don't know why he would pronounce it like that randomly, right? Clearly he pronounces it Sasson. But then Shorthouse starts saying Sasson, and I'm thinking, okay, Shorty's not gonna like make a mistake like that, especially when there was already a mix-up of people saying Sasson and Sasson. Shorty probably like asked Max and was like, "Hey man, how do you want me to pronounce your name?" And he's probably like, "Oh, Sasson's fine." That's probably what happened, right? Maybe it was like an inside joke and his teammates were behind the camera when they were filming that bit and he was like, "I'm Max Sasson." And they were all like, "Haha, that's funny because some inside joke or something." I don't know. Anyways, they put together the Abbotsford line, reunited them in the NHL for the first time, Karlsson, Baines, and Sasson, and man, did they look good. I don't want that line to go anywhere for the time being. I want to see them play together for at least a couple more games before any changes are made. They looked great. They clearly have really good chemistry together. Like, Sasson needs to be an NHLer. I think, like, okay, here's something I want to talk about. I was looking at the lineup last night, right? And they moved O'Connor up to play with Pettersson. So you have a first line of O'Connor, Pettersson, Garland. Then you have DeBrusk, Chytil, Besser. Then they did Kane, Ratu, Sherwood, and then the Abbey line as the fourth line. But then I started thinking, okay, let's say they do want to put Lekramaki back in. Who comes out? I think the easy answer is Karlsson, but then the Abbey line is no longer a thing, right? But then you think, what about when Bluger's healthy? Who comes out then? And then you think, what about when Höglander's healthy? That's a full line of players. That's 3 players. Who comes out? It's stressing me out. Where's Höglander going to play? Because right now you have the team building chemistry, and I mean, there's still a question of where. I think there's still a question of where O'Connor plays. Pettersson and Garland need to stay together for the foreseeable future. Pettersson Garland need to be a duo. I think Pettersson plays far better when Garland's with him. And Garland looked like an all-star. He looked like a mini McDavid out there against the Stars. He had so many scoring chances. He could have had 4 goals, and the goal he did score was beautiful. So, yeah, Pettersson, Garland need to be a duo. Where does O'Connor play? I think you probably put Höglander on that top line with Pettersson when he comes back. So then, and then you don't want to, Besser is going to be your second line right winger at that point. So he's going to play with Chytil. And then DeBrusk, you could put on the third line, but then you got to go, where's Kane go then? Anyway, Game 4 against the Stars was beautiful. I took my legs out of the blender and I was cheering the entire time. Even after going down 2-0, there was that feeling that I used to get a lot when watching the Canucks, mainly in 2023-24. There's feeling of like, I know they're going to win. I can't explain how, but I just know they're going to win. I didn't feel that against the Oilers. I didn't feel that against the Blues, but I really felt that against the Stars. I don't know what it is. Can't explain it. Don't even ask. Okay? Stop typing. If you're commenting, don't ask what that feeling is. I get the tingles, okay? Anyway, what the hell are we talking about here? Let me respond to some of what you guys said. I asked on Twitter, I said, how do you feel about the Canucks through the first 4 games of the season? And Priya at Canuckstrom said, Hope it's not similar to what we saw last year, the inconsistency showing up when they wanted to. Second and third period against the Stars looked promising. Need more of that moving forward. Canucks looked fast yesterday. Speed will be a key factor this season. I agree, Priya. Yeah, totally. That is something I hadn't mentioned yet, that the Canucks looked fast against the Stars, which I think is saying a lot. And not only that, but they were capitalizing in transition. That the Sasson goal is a good example of that, and the Chytil goal. They flipped around and got a scoring chance and actually capitalized on it, which was really nice to see. I love Max Sasson, man. I don't want him going anywhere. That's why I was kind of freaking out earlier about what happens when Bluger and Höglander are back. What happens to our guy Sasson, man? What happens to him? Robbie at YoRobbie132 said 2-2 against some good teams. Hopefully they get rolling. Yeah. Akash at AkashSports_ said it's mostly just getting used to the system, I guess. Yeah, I mean, that's the reason why this whole entire podcast has an asterisk on it. I'm talking about how they've been playing, really. But I don't think there's any prediction that I could genuinely make about what this team is. Because that's the thing, right? The Canucks went through such a change. I can't be the only one that mentally it kind of still feels like we're connected to that 2023-24 team just because it was so recent. But we're not. I mean, we're talking about a team that it doesn't have the same coach. One of the best forwards isn't on the team anymore. We don't have Lafferty, Joshua, Mikheyev, who else? Shilovs, DeSmith. I mean, it's basically a new team. And I'm not saying it's worse. The point is, we don't know what it is yet. So, yeah, saying all this stuff is really just okay, they're 2-2. It's still a big question mark. We really don't know. And yeah, getting used to the system, Foote has definitely implemented. A lot of people were saying, when Foote comes in, he's just going to do exactly what Tocchet was doing. Clearly not. Very clearly not. Because I think some of the frustrations that we've had, especially, mainly in game 2 and 3 against the Oilers and Blues, had a lot to do, like Akash here said, with the system and the players just kind of adjusting to this new system, right? The question is, how long is it going to take? I think that game against the Stars was an example of what this system looks like when it's executed perfectly or close to perfectly. I would imagine Foote's pretty happy with that game, aside from just getting the win, because the team was fast and that's what he wants. At Philip Kim 14919 said, not convinced, but it's still early. Yeah, see, I know a lot of people are going in with a convince me attitude. I'm very neutral. I'm not going in thinking, the Canucks are going to be so good. That's why, on purpose, I haven't said in any of my main channel videos, the Vancouver Canucks are good yet. Okay, that's going to be an announcement when it happens. At, I think that says crescendo_V2. Keep Garland with Petey. Yes, you're getting a like. I agree with that. I feel like I've said that before, and I'm not the only one. Garland and Pettersson. I mean, Garland is just he's a play driver. I don't know why he doesn't get more praise around the league. He should be considered an elite player. I really think so. I mean, I guess it's his point totals. He doesn't, I don't know. I'd have to really think about this. He's noticeable every single game. When he's not, you notice him because he wasn't. You know what I mean? Garland is so, he's one of the faces of this team. He's noticeable almost at the level of someone like Hughes, honestly. But he doesn't put up 80 plus points the way you'd think. If you just watched one Canucks game, let's say you're not even a hockey fan, okay? You just watch one Canucks game, like last night, for example, and saw all those scoring chances Garland got, you'd probably be like, is that the team's best player? I'm just wondering, because he looks really good. That happens a lot. Garland is underrated, man. Even by this fan base a little bit, I think. He's so good. So yeah, keeping him with Petey makes perfect sense. Perfect sense. At FV Birder said, I like the new lines. The Abbey line should stay together. Garland might get Petey going, hopefully. Yeah, agree. I've already talked about all that stuff. The Abbey line looked so good, and the chemistry was undeniable. I just think once they, especially, because that was game 1. That was game 1 after the Calder Cup run last year. I don't know if they played together in the preseason. They may have. But assuming they didn't, that was the first game they played together since late June. And they looked that good. Just imagine what they can do. Maybe tonight, I'm going to say right now, I bet you anything that line is going to score another goal tonight against the Blackhawks. I don't think I'm crazy for saying that. I don't think I'm smart if I'm right. I just think they look so good. They'll probably make whoever they're matched up against look dumb, because that Chicago team is not very deep. At Jamrock said, volatile like my heart rate. I said, how do you feel about the Canucks through the first 4 games? They said, volatile like my heart rate. Yeah, like I said, it's been super up and down, really. Not anything in between. There hasn't really been one game where I've been like, oh, nice win. It's been, yeah! Or, no! It hasn't been like, all right. Not once. Maybe tonight. If the Canucks win like 3-2, maybe I'll be like, all right, okay. At Noreen S64533986 said, more consistency would be great. Yeah, I agree, but again, 4 games into the season, learning a new system, a lot of new guys on the team, lines have already been put in a blender. Whatever. Okay, well, forgive me for putting out this tardy episode, this glued together, incoherent rant and yap and ramble sesh. It's I had the choice of not putting anything out today or putting out this, and I'm choosing this. Hopefully I don't regret it. Hopefully I haven't said anything here that will bite me later. But yeah, and I also hope you guys enjoyed it. New episode of Pipe Dreams on Sunday. That's my Be a Pro series. I'm trying to turn my created player Cranial Bevins into one of the best goaltenders of all time. The only problem is I don't know how to play goalie in the game or in real life. So he's terrible right now, but that's what the series is about, and that's why it's called Pipe Dreams. So yeah, okay, bye.